So as this interview goes live, we are celebrating 10 years since the release of Edge of Spider-Verse issue number 2, the first appearance of Spider-Gwen. And I am speaking today with one of the co-creators of that character, in Rico Renzi. Rico is a friend of the channel. We shared a real life mutual friend. And if you guys know where this podcast started, then you'll know our mutual friend, Skipntosh. This episode is dedicated to the memory of my friend Curtis, Skipntosh Fisher. And not to start this on the crazy somber note, but this is an interview that was in the making for like 2 years, and I just couldn't do it. We'll get into all of that later in this episode. It's really cool to talk to someone who, despite being so young, has sort of already had their signature achievement, if you will, and are now just having fun in comics. So I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I enjoyed conducting it. And let's get started. All right, guys. Well, tonight's guest is, I say tonight, I don't know what time you're listening to this, but today's guest is a very special one. This was been in the works for a while. This man is a color artist. When I think of the word color artist, like they like to use it in comics nowadays, but this guy is the first one that pops into my head. But you know him as a colorist, a graphic designer, an artist. This is the talented Rico Renzi. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, can't complain. I had to try to up the mood over here a little bit. So I got colors in front of me. Oh, thanks. I try. But no, it's real, right? Like, when I think about like the craft of comic book coloring, well, quite honestly, I don't, right? Like, I know that I'm not a big fan of manga. I've got a bunch of Usagi Yojimbo, and I've read like very small amounts of it because it's not in color, and it takes a while for my brain to perceive what's happening when there aren't colors to help me make sense of it, right? And so like I think of color in that way. But other than that, it's just like, even like as a kid, it's like, well, colors are, you see color when you go outside or wherever, and then you just color things the way they're supposed to be, right? Like, I remember the day that I found out there was a color called apricot in the Crayola boxes, right? Like, because prior to that, I always colored white people yellow.
The Simpsons.
White people were yellow, and that was fine. And then I remember going up to this girl, and I was like, "How did you make them the color they're supposed to be?" And she's like, "Oh, it's this one." And I was like, "Oh, you had the fancy box with like 60 colors. I only had like 20." So, but yeah. So when I think of color artists, right? Like, your work definitely comes to mind. For those who aren't familiar, Rico has worked on quite a bit of things, right? Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. I guess probably you're most known for, or I don't know, your most famous work at this point is probably Spider-Gwen, right? Just because she's been such a breakout character. And if you watched the Across the Spider-Verse film, so much of the mood for all the Gwen Stacy scenes is ripped straight out of the pages of that comic. And obviously you colored that comic. You had a huge hand in that, in the way we perceive Gwen. But yeah, when I think of your color work, like, it is art. I guess everyone's coloring is art, but I'll let you talk. I'm talking too much, but I'm curious to know, like, just one, how you got started and why coloring.
I was the kind of kid who, when he was drawing something, kind of rushed to the coloring stage before the drawing was really finished. I always liked coloring books. Just like drawing was just a lot harder for me. Like, perspective and anatomy and all that stuff doesn't come as easily to me as color does. The way I got into doing it professionally though was just I was working overnight at a Kinko's, like a copy shop, and it was the first time I had access to a computer, and was just kind of learning Photoshop, like learning on the job, and then it's like, oh, this is what people are coloring with, and I like comic books, so let me see if I can copy this person or that person and try to figure out how they do this. So I had a friend who was doing some Batman stuff, and I goofed around on his things, and so my first job was coloring his Batman covers for Legends of the Dark Knight. So it was like 99, 2000. From there, it's just, I feel like I started too high. Like I should have started on something like more indie. Mm-hmm. But I've done a full range of things from independent projects to, Marvel and DC stuff. So it's just you never know where this when you color, you can do a lot more different kinds of projects than somebody who draws or writes, just because it's like you're quicker at it, I guess.
So
yeah,
I'd ask this, right? Like, so for me, I don't know if I would call myself a graphic designer at this point, but I took a class in high school, learned Photoshop, and very much made all my spending money in college designing club flyers, right? Like if you knew your way around Photoshop, you can make decent money. Well, specifically for me, it was club flyers, but MySpace layouts was before club flyers. I was doing those. But like, I remember like hitting the ceiling when it was like, okay, now it's time to like be a real graphic designer. And I tried like logo design, identity and stuff like that. And that was where it was like, okay, me being a self-taught designer ends right here. Like I can't manipulate my way into doing corporate branding. But with that skill set, right, learning Photoshop, you said you can do a whole lot of different jobs. How are you navigating, right? Like one with the skill set, but what types of other things have you been getting into?
Like you, I think I come from a similar thing of like I was the one who could do the things, like even before Photoshop, pasting things up, just kind of like making flyers for bands that I was in and friends bands, and then I would do like a CD cover or a tape cover and t-shirt design and all that kind of stuff. And that's my background before comics, doing that kind of stuff graphically. But I think it's kind of like on you to let people know your abilities or the things you can do, because I've been able to do like logo design and all that kind of stuff for years, but I didn't really put it out there until recently. So once a few companies saw me doing it, like now I'm getting hit up from all the different comic companies, like, oh, we heard you do logos, how much you charge, could you do something for us? And so that's been happening like about as much as coloring lately.
Right. Yeah. So I'll take a step back. I didn't want to start on such a somber note, but if you guys have been listening to the podcast for a while, fun fact, Rico might have had the first product placement on this show. So our forever co-host in the sky, my man, Skipntosh, Curtis, was wearing a Martin the Manhunter shirt the day we interviewed Justin Greenwood about touring. And in the middle of the episode, he's just like, quick promo, got a shot my man Rico. And it was just like, that was Curtis. Just that was the energy all the time. Yeah. And you just bringing up graphic design reminded me of that. So if you guys aren't familiar, Rico has this website. It's called nolongermint.com. And on it, there's just a bunch of just designs, right? Like some of it's just like play on words type stuff. Some of it's just like finding obvious puns, or maybe not so obvious, but like really just taking them further. Like I think one of my favorites is Craven the Hunter wearing Garfield's pelt. Like,
yeah, that has gone viral many times over. I'll be at a con and I'll have it up, on the table, and somebody like, oh, you made that? I've seen that. I don't know who you are, but I've seen that. I'm like, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just full of little things like that. There's can't remember which is of which, but it was like there was a Deadpool image, but like with the Spider-Man logo, like just makes you stare at it for a second. Like, wait, that's wrong.
Yeah,
Like, just
I don't know. I like the bootleg, like the foreign aesthetic, like kind of like Japanese, like mistranslated, or
mm,
like sometimes you see in South America it'll be something like Bart's Brown, and I mean when I was coming up when I was a kid that they had like Black Mickey and Black Bart, all
uh,
that kind of stuff. In DC was real big. Just I've always like that aesthetic of like just taking something that you see every day and flipping it a little bit.
right. That definitely was something they did a lot when I was a kid as well. I know you're older than I am, but like I remember Platinum Fubu with like all
Mm-hmm.
the Fat Albert characters.
Mm-hmm.
Lot 29 had the Looney Tunes. Like it was a lot of like, sagging cartoon characters like, with backwards jerseys on and stuff. Like
Yeah, yeah, for
that's
sure.
childhood. But yeah, so we were supposed to link for a conversation a while back. Back when I started this show. Actually, I didn't start the show. I floated the idea for the show, just kind of thinking out loud, like, because prior to this show, my channel was just a bunch of unboxings and hauls and stuff. And I was like, man, I want to do something with like more depth, but I'm too new to be an educational channel. Maybe I'll do some interviews. Maybe I'll start a podcast, just something serious. And Curtis was just like, oh, if you're serious about doing a podcast, like we can do a podcast. Like I got homies, like we can call people, like I'll line this up and this up and this up. And I was just like, yo, like just slow down. I don't know. I don't know what I
Yeah,
want to do or what I want it to be. Um, and he was just very like, nah, man, you got to do it. Like, go for it. And I was like, all right. So we started the show and kind of slowly rolling it out. And we did an interview with Justin. And Skip was just like, all right, I'm gonna hit up Rico, I'm gonna hit up this person, that person, like all my people. And I was like, cool. And like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't have any money to pay this guy. This channel makes like 5 cents a month. Like, I don't know what he wants out of this, but I don't have anything to give in return for all this effort he's trying to put in. Um, but he was just so excited about doing it. And so we did it. Um, and then, you know, 5 months in, he's like, yeah, man, I'm kind of sick. Like, not feeling all that great. And then a month after that, he was gone. And for me, it was, I didn't want to reach out to anyone that he had started conversations with about this show.
oh, yeah, okay.
Like, I was like, I'm not about to like use my dead friend's Rolodex, like to start it. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us, I mean, we talk now, but I don't think any of us would look at it like that. It's like you're saying, just Curtis, just like his enthusiasm, like for everything was just, it just, it, in the community, like everybody's like, oh yeah, Curtis, I know Curtis, and like everybody's like he wasn't in comics necessarily, and like, but he just like he was to us, he's like
Mhm.
such a sweet dude. I don't know, man. Talking basketball, comics, everything with him, and just like just such a shining light of a guy that miss a lot.
Yeah, a lot. I know when he passed, because like I said, I don't really know how Curtis came into my orbit. Just when I started the Discord, he was one of the first people in there, and he's like teaching me how to do the different channels and stuff and
Oh,
organize. And so
wow.
I made him a mod, and we would get on the phone every now and then, just talk about like life as he's trying to help me through audio issues or whatever. Um, but you're right, he was just that enthusiastic, that excited about everything. One of the coolest things was like after he passed, realizing how not necessarily connected he was, but that he was that person for like everyone. Like it was cool that for me, I wasn't like special. I wasn't some outlier, like charity case. Like he just treated everyone that way.
Yeah,
So that was really cool.
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so all that to say, my apologies. It's been like a year and a half, but we finally got you here.
Oh yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Cool. So yeah. So what, like, were you reading comics growing up?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like comics on the spinner rack. I'm like no, it's like the 70s, 80s. Like comics were pretty much at every store back then. Just getting the Marvel and DC stuff. The big thing was one summer I went to stay with my grandmother. She lived down in Florida, and she had like a sunglass stand at a flea market, and there was this guy who had a big just book rack full of comics, and his deal was I could buy them, I could read them, he would buy them back for a little bit less.
Hmm.
So I read that summer I read everything that dude had. I ended up keeping the stuff I really liked, but the stuff that I was kind of like about, I would sell back to him and just put it back into the next book. So,
Did you have like standout characters or creative teams back then?
back then I was really into like Art Adams, Rick Leonardi, Walt Simonson. More of a Marvel kid, I think. I think one of the early DC books I got was this like Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes, and it was just like it was cool, but it was like too many characters.
Yeah.
Legion scared me away from DC, I think, for a while. But yeah, I was really into the X stuff, Thor, Iron Man.
Got you. No, that's fair. I started reading comics in 2019, and I remember when Bendis relaunched Legion of Superheroes. I was like, okay, I'll try to jump in. And I got in 2 issues, and I was like, nah.
So it's like a wall.
Yeah, impenetrable. Can't do it.
Yeah, people that love Legion, love Legion, but if you don't put in the time, I don't think it's happening.
Right. I did get a cool Legion of Superheroes ring for my LCS though. It kind of looks like the Lexus sign.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, cool. So, did you? I don't know, I guess most people like read comics for a while, break up with comics for a while, and then come back. Like, were you the same?
Yep. High school, I got out for a little bit. I was just like obsessed with basketball. Like before school, at lunchtime, after school, I was just playing basketball all the time.
Mm.
But I guess like it's before Image, but like when Jim Lee and was doing X-Men stuff, like somebody showed me, and I was like, oh, okay, let me check that out. So that kind of got me back in, and then I was reading the like early Image stuff, and I guess that's probably when I found like indie comics, because this convention started up in the DC area called SPX. It's like a small press expo, and I just met a bunch of like indie comic creators at that show, and it kind of put me on a different reading path.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of broke me out of that Marvel and DC stuff. It's funny you were talking about loving comics in color. My favorite comic is a black and white comic.
Really?
Yeah. Love and Rockets. The Jaime Hernandez is like, that's the dude to me. But yeah, that convention like kind of expanded my horizons, and I don't know, I've always kind of like, some people like once they're in indie comics they don't read anything else, but I've always kind of just like, if the art's good, I'm going to check it out.
And so how do you quantify good art?
That's tough. It's like what the government says about pornography or whatever. I know it when I see it.
It's fun. I asked because like when I got into comics, I got in during the tail end of the Tom King Batman run, and that run was just what I remember about those 10, 12 issues. It was just inconsistent. I guess is what I would say, right? Like looking back on it, I guess none of it is bad, but you had Clayman, and then you had John Romita Jr., and then sometimes you had Tony Daniel, like in back to back issues, and it just like
different.
Yeah, real different. And I was just like, what is this? And I remember going to one of my coworkers, like, yeah, man, I don't know what's going on with the issue this week. Like last week it looked really good, and he was like, well, if you want good art, like it begins and ends with Jim Lee. And I was like, oh. Okay. And so I went and picked up Hush. And for a long time, like the everything that kind of descended from that era, like the super anatomically correct and nice perspective and all that stuff, like that was what I considered good art. So like Jim Lee, David Finch, all the Image guys, like a lot of stuff like that. And it's only been like in I'd say maybe the last 2 years that I've really branched out and like can appreciate art from all sorts of people, right? Like
Yeah.
even like those early issues of Spider-Gwen, like is not what I would have read 4 years ago. Um, but now it's like, okay, I can appreciate the storytelling. Like I can appreciate how John Romita Jr. sets a scene, even if I don't feel like the colors are like doing the work justice in many ways. Um, but now it's like, okay, if a story makes me feel good, like then that works. But if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, nah, it's got to look like 90s X-Men.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, they say whatever you get into at first is like what kind of shapes your taste.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know what. I have a wide variety of tastes, so I try not to work with art I don't like because it
Mm.
makes the job much harder. I don't know. I always tell like colorists that are starting out, like if pick good art, and it's hard to like you say. I don't know what to tell them, but that art needs to be good for you to look good as a colorist. Otherwise, you're just gonna look not good.
Right. Right. And so like looking at colors, right? I keep art up around me. I'm looking at several different color styles, right? So early milestone stuff, none of this you can see, but early milestone stuff on my wall, a lot of that's painted by Noel Giddings and like this watercolor brush style. I've got some Ken Lashley posters. He always works with Juan Fernandez, and a lot of his stuff is like really bright. It's got cool highlights and stuff in it. Um, I've got this J Hero print in front of me, and everything just looks really textured and it's dark, right? But all of these colorists have different moods. They all are using different media, it seems, to get their stuff across. When you're going to color a page, like how would you describe what you're bringing to it?
Well, I mean, I, I feel like I have a style, but I will also change it up depending on like the artist I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you start a new project, I always feel like there's a learning curve for how you're gonna look together.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes it never gels like it should. But I'm just I'm reading the script. I'm trying to tell the story along with them, trying to not get in the way, trying not to draw too much attention to anything I do. Just kind of back up the artist and assist them in telling the story.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm trying to describe the job of a colorist or a color artist, as we're calling them these days, right? Like if the writer sets the scene and the artist sort of makes the spectacle that we're looking at, like the colorist is the first person that kind of tells you how you should feel about it,
Yeah.
right? Like if I'm looking at a page and it's dark and gloomy, or like sometimes it's red because there's like a lot of like angry stuff going on, or I don't know to what degree like color science goes into it, right? Like learning stuff for marketing is like, oh, blue is calming and green says you're environmentally friendly. And
Yeah, it can be like a soundtrack, like
mm,
rising, like swelling strings, making you cry or something. It's like
mm,
that's kind of how you can approach coloring and storytelling.
yeah. And so, yeah, but like the colors like really do kind of tell you how to feel about a thing. Um, and you've got a lot of different things, right? So here's Spider Punk Arms Race came out very recently in trade, and these covers that you did, um, oh, I'm shining a blue light on everything, but
Haven't even seen that.
oh, really?
Mm-mm.
So
That's cool.
yeah, they got you on the back here too.
So on that, on that front image,
Mm-hmm.
the artist just sent that drawing, and
Mm.
then they asked me to flyer it up. So I did all that grungy outline colors and that spiral around it.
Dope. So now I have to like go in and do post production because the audience has to see it. But okay, so that's cool then. So
Yeah, that's cool.
putting your talents to use here. Um, but yeah, like I guess one of the ways that I would describe your style, like I don't know, I guess I feel like the easy term to find is like pop art, like almost like a Warhol, um, and different things like that, like where it just pops out at you, like it's very like yo MTV raps, like here it is, like 80s, um, neon in a lot in some ways. Um, but you do a lot of different styles, like you said. Um, I'm curious to know though, like what me are you working all digital these days?
Yeah. All this stuff is digital. That that spiral background is a scan of some actual Zipatone that I got from Jim Rugg,
Mm,
and I just kind of like Xeroxed it out in Photoshop. But yeah, anytime I can get like organic texture into something, I'll try to do that too. Like that all that background junk is, at one point it was on paper, but
mhm.
now it's all lives in this Dropbox folder I call tools and textures.
Gee, how good are you at actually keeping your Dropbox organized? Because mine is the
my
worst.
my tool box is real organized, and all the pages for work and stuff. But um, aside from that, it's a mess.
I find that everything on my computer just ends up on the desktop, and then I like have to put it in folders later. Just
You just make a date and put a folder.
yeah,
I've done that before.
I do that a lot, especially for footage. But
Oh yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, that doing video stuff is just even doing like little clips for my Instagram or whatever. It's like I don't know how y'all do it.
yeah, yeah, I need to buy the new iPhone. They just did the announcement today.
Oh,
I need that because trying to get files. Sometimes I record on my phone. Sometimes I use the camera, but like getting files off the phone into the computer is the worst because I'm still on a PC. I don't have AirDrop. But that gets crazy. But anyway, um, so another thing that comes to mind when I think about like your coloring, uh, and maybe it's just because I'm a 90s kid, or maybe it's because my wife loves this show, but Doug, like the
Doug the
animated
cartoon.
series Doug, yes. Like
I've never seen an episode of Doug.
you've never seen an episode of Doug. I mean, I guess that's not surprising. You're probably too old to have watched Doug like as it was coming out.
See, you say that, but there's also a person who watched like 20 episodes of Craig of the Creek in the past 2 days. Because that's my favorite show right now.
I love that show. But so Doug, like now I got to put some on the screen. But the big thing for all the 90s kids in the audience who know, Doug's hallmark is that people were just all sorts of wacky colored. Like
Okay.
Doug's best friend is blue, and we all just adopted him as a black man. Um,
Does he have a
like
black voice actor?
no, I don't think anybody involved in that show.
He's like Panthro.
Yeah, Panther was absolutely black, but
100%.
so I'm just pulling up. So here's just some images from Doug, right? So you got the blue guy,
Okay.
you got the green dude, and now that I'm looking at it, like it's actually not as like radical as I remember it being. But I guess you got like this dude with the purple hair, uh,
Why is Doug white though?
because he's the star of the show. You got to
Weird.
get it sold to the network.
I think this should be analyzed.
Right, right, right. But yeah, so but when I look at some of your work, it does remind me of just like this color palette and just the idea that you're not bound to skin tones or normal skin tones, so to speak. That's enough screen sharing. But where do you get your ideas for like what you're gonna color something? Because like I said earlier, like I feel like when you're coloring as a kid, it's just like, hey, what color is this supposed to be? But at some point, you have to take the liberty to say, nah, this is gonna be green.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of have an allergy to local color, is what they call it. Local is when you make bricks red and sky blue and grass green.
Mm.
Just like trying to do like a natural outdoor scene. I'm terrible at that. Like I'm always gonna make the sky yellow or the tree trunks kind of like blue green. I don't know. There's just weird things that I see. Like this is the way it looks right to me, and it's probably some kind of mental illness.
Mm. And as you say that, right? Like when you, I guess I gotta ask. I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, but you do have just like normal color perception, right? Like when you go outside, the sky is blue and leaves are green and stuff, right?
Yes. Yes.
There are plenty of people who have like sort of visual impairments, I guess you would call it.
Sometimes I wonder because like sometimes I wonder because I'll turn in something and somebody will say this is like looks real off the wall, but it didn't look real off the wall to me. So, but I don't know. Yeah, my perspective of that is kind of weird. Like I remember doing a Superman issue, and the editor said I made the people way too pink. So I like dialed it back a little bit. And he said, still too pink. And I dialed it back a little bit. He's like, still too pink. It was like three shades of pink that I lightened up. And he was still like what's wrong with me?
That's how I felt when I got married. My wife's like, hey, grab that red thing over there. I'm like, that's not red. But hey, I feel like women probably make the best colors, right?
Well, no, my wife always tells me like what color something is, and I never believe her.
Yeah. Just like, I don't know what you're talking about. What is lilac? But yeah, so yeah, your color palette is vivid. You said you're allergic to local color. I'm curious as to like how much trouble that gets you in with editors. I would assume at that point people are hiring you because they know what they're getting. But
yeah,
how tough was that in the early days?
Yeah, early days it was really hard. Just turning in stuff that editors were like, whoa, this is too much. That happened a lot of times. But yeah, you're right. Like I am kind of to the point where people know what they're getting. Yes, there's only one project that I did that didn't come out. It was like a job for DC, and I turned in the book, and the editor and the writer were just like, "Oh no." So that series did end up coming out recolored by somebody else.
Oh man! Now I'm curious to know what the series was. I won't ask you on the air, but
gotcha.
But yeah, it's it's such a stylistic choice. But like with all of these things, right? I don't know. Like I'm looking at Batman, like, oh, I'm like one of the only 12 people that are reading this book. But it's like, no, this is owned by a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Like there are standards and practices, and they're reprinting the DC style guide that Jose Luis Garcia Lopez did.
Want that.
I want it too. I think it comes out sometime this month, maybe next month.
Is it like in a binder like the old one? Do you know?
It's a hardcover.
Hardcover, okay.
Now we got to look it up. But yeah, they're a $95 hardcover.
Ouch.
384 pages.
Oof.
Yeah, a case bound, soft touch laminated cover with spot varnish. Sounds like it's gonna look nice.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's gonna be expensive. Shipping late September. Still time to pre-order it.
That's fair.
$95. But Anyway, I said all that to say they care about these characters enough to have even made style guides to say, hey, no matter where this character appears, this is what they should look like. And at the same time, they hire artists because artists have their own styles. And I can only imagine how it is for an editor trying to balance those two ideas.
Yeah, it's gotta be tough.
Yeah.
I can tell I've been doing this too long because recently I did a Spider-Gwen cover for like a store variant, and the editor who I didn't know, probably a new editor, sent me my stuff as reference for the character.
That is amazing. But I don't know. I guess it's flattering. Hey, it should look like this. It's like, yeah, I know.
Got you.
Right. So I guess that's a good segue. So first, I have to say thanks. This has been maybe a year, probably exactly a year, because NC Comic Con is coming back up. But I met Rico. I've met Rico a couple of times, but I met Rico last year at NC Comic Con, and I had my oldest daughter with me. And so we're texting or DMing or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I'm over here, so and so we can meet up. And Rico comes up and it's like, are you BJ Kicks? And my daughter was like, he knows you. And I was like, all right, well, cool. I feel like a superstar for the moment. But then Rico like crouches down and like freaking wall sits and is like, here's a coaster. I'm going to draw Spider-Gwen, and gives it to my daughter. And I'm like, yeah, he invented her. And she's like, really? Wow. And then I had to like explain to her, like, okay, you don't take someone's art and like try to do more art on it. Like, just leave that the way it is. Maybe get another piece of paper. But so thank you for drawing Spider-Gwen for my daughter.
Of course.
But with that, how does Spider-Gwen come about, and how did you get involved?
Yes. Marvel had asked Jason Latour to pitch on Edge of Spider-Verse, and which was going to be like a series of anthology issues, or just one shots of all these spider characters, which happens every year now. It seems pretty commonplace, but this was a new thing back then. And he was like, oh, I got an idea for Uncle Ben. What do you think about this? And they were like, nah, we're doing something else with Uncle Ben. Can you do something with Gwen Stacy? And I think at this point, Jason was talking to me and Robbie about, working on this with him. And, that was like the only character that had ever literally stayed dead in comics is Gwen Stacy. So that was like kind of daunting. One of the editors or writers, I believe, had an idea for the costume, which was kind of like a spider version of the outfit she died in, and we were like, no, we don't think that's the move.
Right.
So we all kind of put our heads together and started coming up with the way she's going to look, what she's about. She plays drums, I think, because my daughter was playing drums at the time, so we're like kind of basing her on her. Base her looks on Debbie Harry. We didn't want to have to draw or color a bunch of spider webs, so we just put the webs in a couple spots, like in the hood and under the arms, and kind of like going for a Akira, like Batman Beyond feel. So like there would be no like earth tones anywhere in the book, like no browns, just all like you said, like neon colors. So that's, as soon as that costume design hit the web, there was like cosplayers dressing up as her next week.
Right.
Really, and I feel like that toy was like one of the fastest toys to ever, go from, being designed to not even in the books yet, and she's just like all over the place.
Yeah. For me, getting into comics, super recently, I was surprised at how new she was as a character.
She was only like around 5 years when you got in.
Yeah. So, but she was everywhere. And then once Spider-Verse came out, like she was more everywhere somehow. How does it feel to like have a part in creating something that you just see like in Target every time you go to buy groceries?
It's crazy. Yeah, I was just in the airport 2 days ago, and there's like some candy thing with like her head is like this big, and it plays the theme song from that new that cartoon,
Wow.
like the kids.
Oh, yeah, Spidey, his amazing friends.
Mhm. It's like the thing was this big. I don't know if it's like a blow pop or what, but like you push a button and it lights up and plays a song. Like
That's crazy.
I don't know why you're selling that at the airport. People are gonna be annoyed on the flight.
You sell it at the airport because people are landing and they're buying gifts. They forgot to buy souvenirs where they were. Like, oh, but I got you Spider-Gwen. As if you couldn't get that anywhere. But yeah, man, that's crazy. One thing I wanted to ask, because you're a colorist, and I guess even like as we look at like, you know, how people are billed in comic books, right? The colorist is typically last. The colorist isn't necessarily the one like, hey, we should make a comic, right? It's like somebody else has this idea, somebody drew it. Oh, we need someone to color it. How do you stay creative, I guess, like, and choosing what projects you want to work on while also being like, I gotta pay bills, so whatever comes over here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, since I don't, I for a long time I worked a day job, and I was real picky about like what I would color. But nowadays I'm, a little less picky. So projects kind of fall into stuff I really want to do and stuff like you said to pay the bills. Um, like I'm working on some kids books right now that it's a big project, and it's like that one is getting bills paid.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of use other things as my creative outlets, like the design stuff, like you're saying, all the t-shirts and stickers. I usually collect those into books and put those out, and just little book projects and stuff like that for myself is like keeps me stimulated, I guess.
Right.
I would say like half the comics work is half of it is like super fun and half of it's like work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, anytime you get down to the end of a deadline, it's all work. You're not really flexing those creative muscles. You're just trying to get it finished.
Right.
Do your best, make it look nice, get it to the printer. Like people would not believe how tight like some of the stuff is from turning it into it being printed.
How tight is it?
That's what she said.
I knew that was coming.
You did that. You made this PG-13.
But no, I was wondering that, like, because yeah, I don't know how tight those deadlines are. I've heard that, the colorist gets it like it might be like a day before it's got to go to the printer sometimes.
Like every issue of She-Hulk I had was due in 2 days from when I got it. They went like you were talking about that Tom King Batman thing. They went through 3 artists while I was on that. I think by the second or third issue, they were moving on to a second artist to try to, pick up the deadline, but they just never caught up. So it was always super tight.
Jeez. Now, how often are you coloring a page for one artist and they're like, we're gonna do it go with a different artist? Like, you got to recolor the whole thing.
Oh no, with Marvel it's usually just they'll just like half the issue is with this one artist, and
okay.
Like I'm usually not recoloring anything.
Got you.
I hope not.
Right. And so speaking of Marvel and speaking of things you've done recently, right now, as we record this, you guys can go to the shops and grab from the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives. I don't know why this one comic has 3 titles, but it's there. And so let's talk a little bit about your work in this book. I feel bad because when I saw what it was, I thought they were just reprinting that same alternate ending that they keep reprinting of
Hmm.
Jason Todd living. And I was like, why do they keep doing this? And so I didn't pre-order it at all. And then it starts coming out and people are like, oh my gosh, it's a new story and it's on newsprint and it's such a throwback style and this and that. Like, talk a little bit about this book.
Um, one of my childhood heroes is drawing it, Rick Leonardi. And he asked for me. I think somebody else was going to color it, but he dropped out, so he asked for me second. um, but yeah, I'm working on the last issue right now, and Rick's working on the last issue, and I think 3 is it out this week.
Yep.
Um, it's on newsprint, like you said. I was super psyched about that. I wish they had told me that before I started it, but
How much would that have changed your approach?
Probably not that much. I mean, I keep it pretty. I think like the way I color will probably look good on any paper,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if that sounds conceited.
So I don't know. To that point, right? Like, so they just reprinted the big Superman Muhammad Ali Treasury, and I did an overview on the channel, and it's probably the first time I've ever like really nerded out about colors. But I'm sitting there doing a side by side with this and the deluxe edition that they had reprinted, or they had printed 2010 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And in that deluxe edition, for one, everything is shrunk down. They hadn't done it at this size since it came out in 78. Wow. But in that hardcover, I think Neil Adams had recolored it. And so, but it's these computer colors, like it is like that late 90s, early to mid 2000s, like everything's got like all these highlight tones and just, I don't know, it just looks weird, right? Like, I don't know, it's weird to say that looks dated and this doesn't, considering how much, right? This looks classic, but the 90s recolor looks dated. And so I'm going through, like, I saw a thread one time, because not to rail too much on John Romita Jr., because that dude's a legend. And he's even better just as a person. But I was not vibing with him on Amazing Spider-Man. And then I saw a thread and someone was like, what if they just colored him like the flat colors like they did in the 80s? And the dude, whoever it was that made the thread, actually did the recoloring. And I was like, yo, this looks so much better. Like, just do that.
Yeah.
So to be able to do a sort of throwback style printed on newsprint, I don't know, where do you fall on that spectrum? I feel like there's so many different styles and approaches you can take to coloring, but something about that like just looks good to me.
Yeah, I feel like it can get, like, if somebody's trying to make something look old, it can get kind of hacky, like like doing all these like effects to make things look old. Like, I mean, I think there's a fine line between like something looking classic and something trying. You can smell like a fake.
Yeah.
But yes, it's super fun for me. I don't know. I definitely have opinions about that, and I'm not going to bash any fellow colorists for doing their job. But I have taste. Like you said, I like a classic artist like John looks better like handled in a more classic fashion. But at Marvel right now, that is not what they are after. Right. I know several colorists who have been told like this is too flat, more highlights, more rendering. So it's just a matter of like what's in style, like and what taste like different editors have. So everything, goes up and down, in and out. So
got you. So I'm curious to see how they're going to collect the Robin Lives story, right? It feels like with all this focus on, the printing for the single issues, maybe it's just going to be just a single issue event. But I'm curious to see how they collect it in hardcover or trades.
Yeah,
If
I
they keep
wonder if
some
they
of that
would
stuff.
like put it with the original. It seems like something they would do,
You
like
know,
collect it all together.
they did that a while back. They had they did the Tales from the Dark Multiverse, that
Hmm.
sort of anthology, and all it was just super dark, Scott Snyder-esque takes on like all these classic DC stories. And when they sent the series to print or to trades, they printed those stories alongside the original stories. Um, and then they've done it. There's a bunch of precedent. They did it with the Batman Year One Absolute, and I think the Killing Joke as well. Like, here's the regular, or here's the new colors, and here's the old original colors. And I guess in both cases, it's like because it's 4 issues and you need to fill up some more pages. But I'm glad we have it.
Yeah, I like. I definitely like the old colors on Killing Joke.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you ever read Flex Mentallo?
I've not read Flex Metallo.
We got to put that one on the list.
Okay. Okay. You know what? That's a good question, right? So you've got all these comics you grew up on. Now you're a professional doing it, right? You're looking at both mainstream and indie stuff. What kind of rises to the top for you? Like, it's just worthy of a reread any point.
Flex Mentallo is really cool. That's some Frank Quitely. I feel like Frank Quitely is the best like mainstream comic artist.
Mm,
Um, he doesn't work that much, but anything you can pick up by him is worth your time.
yeah.
And like we've been discussing, sometimes the coloring's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But Flex Mentallo is a thing that in the single issues was colored one way, and then years later when they collected it, the artist wanted to have it recolored.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there's opinions about which is better. I like the old one,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you never know if like that's because that's what you saw first or it's what you're used to. Um, I like anything Dan Klaus puts out, like his 8 ball stuff is like a anthology that he made by himself. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like he worked in different styles with different stories in the same book. Um, a one man anthology is a cool thing.
Nice.
Um, I like all the old X Men, Art Adams X Men stuff, the annuals.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go back and check those out
Okay.
now and then.
Nice.
What
Yeah.
else? I don't know.
Sounds good. That's a good starting point. I like leaving the podcast with homework. Skip would be proud of you for giving me homework. But um, so where do I want to go with this now? Basically, you we've talked about colors, we talked about recolor, we talked about multimedia and graphic design and all of that. How do you see yourself, or like, do you have goals as far as your artistic career? Like, is it like, hopefully I just keep doing this, keep paying some bills? Like, is there a mark? I don't like the word legacy, but is there a mark you want to leave on things?
Um, I feel like the color stuff in the Spider Verse movies like has kind of done that for me. Like it doesn't have my name on it, but it has people that know where it came from.
Hmm.
So I feel like that is kind of like the thing that will outlive me
Hmm.
because I've already we've seen like that those movies like influence other things like in advertising and other movies and other cartoons and back into comics.
Hmm.
Um, so it's like it's a weird thing to like at one point I was like we took a tour of their studios out there and like all my stuff is on the all like pages from Spider-Gwen are on the walls of all the people working on the movie
Wow.
and it's like all that stuff like came to life and on film and it's really cool. As far as goals, like I don't know, I'm working on some like fine art type stuff and some comics writing with a buddy. So hopefully that stuff will come out at some point.
Word. Another question. Top 5 sneakers all time.
Top five. Uh,
Top.
top five are my favorites.
I mean, it's your top five. So I think automatically they're your favorites, right?
Okay. Uh, Black Cement Jordan 3. Um, like a Adidas Campus, I feel like is a perfect sneaker.
Mhm.
I'm surprised the Samba is getting all its attention with that nasty dark gum sole when the Campus is right there. Stan Smith and Campuses are right there.
Yeah.
I'm just not a gum sole fan personally, but
Where I like gum soles on the
yeah,
right shoe.
yeah, I like them on that Jordan 4
The
SB.
SB4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that looked nice.
Yeah.
That looked
Yeah.
very like you could see like some guy in a Izod sweater rocking those back in the day. But
Yeah.
like they didn't exist, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we got you've named two.
oh, this is tough, man. No, top five of all time. I'm old, so like the old Patrick Ewing Adidas.
Okay. Okay. I can see that. For
um,
me, Black Cement 3 is definitely number one.
yeah,
Like, and like number two is not even close to number one. But I'll probably go Black Cement 3, Chicago 1. You're right. It does get hard to choose five. I feel like if I have to choose 1, 4,
I
I'm
like I
probably
like the Black Toe Union one is my favorite, like non-original Jordan.
yes. Yes.
I
I
love that.
have. I have a pair of those. Hold on. This one's a fake, but it's here.
Oh yeah,
This
that's
is
it.
this is absolutely my favorite non-OG Jordan
Yeah,
um of all time.
I love it. I feel like that's like that shoe. I feel like is like a Chuck Taylor. Like the more beat up it gets, the better it looks.
Yes. Yes. These and the Mocha Jordan ones. These I'll clean every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
but my Mocha Jordan ones, like I just beat them all to crap. Like,
They're coming out with a low mocha, right?
yeah, they come out with a low Mocha, and then they're doing a latte high, which is basically the Mocha high, but with a little bit lighter brown. And I'm like, I'm not a fan of that
No,
one.
the little lightness makes it different.
Like for me, what I love about the mocha, like I know it's brown. Maybe this is the Rico in me. Like I know it's brown, but in my head, that mocha brown is gray, and I can wear that shoe with anything. It doesn't matter what color I'm wearing with it.
It's very neutral.
Yeah, like, but making it that sort of like caramel creamy brown, like now it's like I gotta wear it with like fall fits, and I don't like that.
Yeah, it
But
is a season though.
I guess that's true. But who's wearing their Jordans the season they come out? Like,
It's true.
I don't know. Like, I feel like if I ever see somebody wearing the Jordans like the day they came out, like it's like, yo, like what?
I,
Why are you
I
so
did
thirsty?
I did wear those white cements a lot when they came out.
Oh, the reimagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those were like a part of the uniform for a little bit. But I feel like that's a classic colorway. Like,
Yeah.
so you could do that. That's probably on my list. The white cement,
Hmm.
reimagined or not. Um, yeah, I'd probably go Oreo fours, not Oreo, white cement fours,
Hmm.
the do the right thing joints. And then I feel like you got to pick a pair of 11s. And if you do, it's got to be the bread 11s. I feel like you can go either way, bread or Space Jam, but bread 11s is probably the one.
Playoff 12s.
I'm not a fan. Well, no, the playoff 12s, those are the black and white, the taxis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at those. I'm not mad. I'm not a fan of the flu games,
Mm-mm.
but the taxis, you can get those off. But anyway,
I've been seeing Giancarlo Esposito at a lot of conventions I've been at.
uh-huh.
It's like, I wonder if people bring Jordans for him to sign. They
I
have
would.
to.
You have to. Yeah. Why not?
Like they made a scuffed up one. I was like, I need to find a pair of those.
I haven't seen them. Like, I don't know if they were like a friends and family type deal, but like I've never seen a pair
Yeah,
of
they have the
those.
little beads on them.
Yeah, but I want those, but I've not seen them anywhere besides the internet.
Yeah, same.
But
I'll get some FUBUs.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm a grown man at this point. Like some kid gonna be like, "Oh, your shoes are fake." Like, yeah, so. But I also don't go anywhere. Like I'm in the carpool line. I'm at the comic shop. Like in one place you can't see my feet. The other place nobody cares what I'm wearing. So anyway, so you also are into music, right? I was watching one of your live streams one time. I'm like, oh, cool. Rico's about to draw something. And you're like in a community center watching somebody DJ or something. I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
that was yeah, we had a gallery show, and yeah, my friend FaZe was rapping.
Mhm. So how active are you on like the local music scene? Are you still doing it or you just went out one time?
I'm not doing it at all. I feel like once I got like into comics so much that kind of scratched the creative itch. Like I have a guitar in my studio and I touch it like once a month maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's like some couple like apps on the iPad I like making stuff with, but yeah, I don't really do much anything. I go to a lot of shows. I like supporting live music. We have when we put on these gallery shows like locally, we always kind of try to include some music, some local acts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you saw there. We got one coming up at the end of September. We're going to have a bunch of live acts on opening night.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Nice, nice. And so I think we're at a good point to start wrapping things up. But what projects are on your table that people should be looking out for soon?
I'm still working on Grimm, which comes out from Boom every month. I think we got renewed for more issues. I'm working on issue 20. They just put out like a big slipcase, like slipcase collection of the first part of the series.
Ooh. See, the Boom slipcases bother me because I didn't buy my shelves at IKEA. I don't have an IKEA local to me. I had to drive to Charlotte to go if I want IKEA. So I bought the Target little cube shelves. And that's when I realized that those Boom Deluxe editions don't fit. They're just slightly taller than the Marvel and DC Omnibus. And so they just like my Once and Future and Something's Killing the Children. They're like on a shelf of shame that I can't actually access because they don't fit anywhere else.
That's terrible.
It is terrible. Maybe I'll just rent a van and just drive to IKEA. When we move, I'm gonna get new shelving. So I don't know. I don't know if I got to drive to Charlotte and me for furniture, but figure something out.
Come on, you can come visit.
Yeah, you know. I'll bring my daughter. She'll be like, "Oh, celebrity again." But yeah, nah. If nothing else, I'll probably just rent a van before I go to Heroes next year, and like, all right, hit IKEA on the way back. But yeah, I need to grab that. So you've got Grimm is. You said Grimm's getting more issues.
Yeah, more issues that Robin Lives is wrapping up. Got a kids book I'm working on that I cannot say what it is yet.
Okay.
They did. I think they should be collecting the other thing I did at Boom recently. The Once Upon a Time at the End of the World.
Okay.
Finished that up earlier this year.
Nice. Now, if it helps the conversation, no, this one's coming out in like 2 weeks. You probably still can't say what this kid's thing is. I can push this back to November if I need to, but nah. Cool. So we'll be on the lookout for all of that. And then where can they find you? Can the people find you if they want to just see you online, see some of your work, maybe buy a shirt or something?
NoLongerMint.com. At Who Is Rico on all the social media platforms. I got a couple shows left this year. I'm doing one in Chattanooga and one in Owensboro, Kentucky. Never been to that one before, but I'm gonna check it out. I think that's beginning of October.
Nice. Now, uh, to wrap things up, right? You have sort of named a lot of like super indie spots and shows. You shouted out SPX. You talked about getting Zipatones from Jim Rugg. Like, you're beating all the indie drums, right? Like we're on the cartoonist kayfabe bingo card right now. And so I want to ask for, in the spirit of Curtis, I'm going to ask for 3 indie recommendations before you head out.
Oh man, keep putting me on the spot. Let's see. Love and Rockets is big, so you need to start with something small. You need to find go online, look for The Death of Speedy. That is a good introduction. It's like a short story. Indie stuff. Santos Sisters.
Okay.
Something that's currently coming out. I would check that out.
Fantagraphics.
Yeah, they're about to do a collection.
Yeah.
Those guys are cool. Really like Jesse Lonergan. His current book is called Man's Best.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boom puts that out. But also his I think he did some self-published stuff that maybe Image put out called Hedra, which was very cool. But yeah, go to your local conventions and hit up. Be curious, hit up the people that don't have the big lines.
Yeah, for sure. So just on the note of Santos Sisters, while we're here, because it's the type of book that probably would not get a spotlight on my very friendly or family friendly channel, but I just got an email with some samples of Santos Sisters because they wanted a shout out. It's being published by Fantagraphics. It's like it's kind of drawn in the style of Archie, like almost in like an homage to a lot of Archie comics, like Betty and Veronica type stuff, but with a very much mature bend, right? Like I don't know, it's almost like Archie for like the Adult Swim crowd is how I would describe it. But what I really do like about it is the art. Like some of the jokes are definitely crude, and like I said, they definitely dip into like mature territory. But if you are, I don't know, say if your sensibilities are a little bit more than PG-13, where mine kind of firmly stop, that's definitely a book you'll want to check out. And so with that, I like to end this show with Rico by promoting other people. But not go to nolongermint.com. You can check out the zines. There's 2 volumes of zines up, right? Mm-hmm. And are you still doing like the screen printed comics?
Oh, I do like a gel printing, like monoprint, sketch variant covers. Yeah, I keep doing those.
Nice. So there's a lot of cool stuff to find on Rico's website. So go to nolongermint.com, follow him at whoisrico, and you'll find the answer there. Any parting words?
No, thanks for your time. Appreciate you talking to me, and I'm glad we could get together.
Yeah, man.
Sorry I missed the last one.
Oh no. You're good. All right. Well, now that you shouted it out, so to the channel members who got that update a couple weeks ago, Rico's the guy that you can thank for that. I said in the intro to that video, I was like, yeah, man, I did all this lighting stuff and I figured why I waste it. So here's a members only video real quick. So yeah, you got Rico to thank for that last update and me testing out this cool blue light. I want to try the Rico mood.
It's like moonlight.
Yeah, and I could change the color. I got purple for Curtis up here and then blue just because in front.
Exact down.
Well, look, guys, thank you for Rico. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming by. You're welcome back anytime, and it doesn't have to be 2 years from now. You can do it whenever. But thank you for just being a good friend to my homie. He spoke super highly of you all the time, like online and off. And so I'm glad to help kind of put a little tiny spotlight from my corner of the internet over your way. And yeah, man, to all of you guys out there, I don't know what you're doing after you listen to this interview. You should go out and grab some things from Rico. And after that, read something dope today. Peace.